Good morning. So this week's work is going to be planning out your research paper and incorporating all of the research that you just got into an organized paper that answers the question you asked. Right? And so the first thing that you're going to see on the portal is you're going to see an outline. And this outline is something that you can use to plan how you're going to write and structure your paper. Right here, research paper outline. If you choose the source one, I think it's called source or sample outline 4. I like this one the best. Some people like lines, they want to be able to write on lines, but I prefer this one. And the reason why I like this one is because it tells you what to do, essentially. But you want to think of this paper as your kind of like, it looks like a regular essay. You're just going to have more body paragraphs. Okay, so you're going to want to start off your paper by introducing your topic. What's your connection to it? What's the background of the topic? And then you're going to want to also state your thesis. Your thesis is the answer to the question you asked. Okay, and then your key points are, what are those buckets of information that you collected that helped you get to that answer? Right. So, for example, some of you were thinking of like, in what ways does electric vehicles impact the environment? Well, you might have a bucket for economic effects. You might have physical effects to human lives. You might have, I don't know, the physical effects to the oceans. I don't know, whatever it is, but you're going to want to then think about, how can I collect this research and organize it so that these pieces go together, these pieces go together, and these pieces go together, and how does that help me? And how did that help me get to my answer? Each of those buckets of research becomes a key point, and it will get its own paragraph. In that paragraph, that's where you want to include. So again, sorry for the break. In these paragraphs, that's where you're going to pull in your research. And you need to give credit to the person who said that, wrote that. And in this next set of instructions, I'm going to show you how you properly cite your research. Okay. So this is this outline. It's due on Sunday the 30th. And the more you put your work in here now, the easier this will essentially just turn into your paper. Okay. You'll notice down here that you need a works cited. A works cited is a full bibliographic entry for each of your citations. So not only do you need to cite within the essay, which we call an in-text citation, you need to cite at the end. And your works cited page will be a full page. So you'll have between 4 to 6 pages of writing, and then you'll have 1 page of a works cited, which will bring your total to between 5 and 7 pages. Okay? And we're going to work on the works cited as you submit your rough draft. But if you want to go ahead and tackle it now, there's a ton of resources, and there's a sample a research paper on here, and you can see how they do it. There's a bunch of citation tools in Google Doc and in Word that already creates the citation for you once you put in the information. But for right now, you just need to do the in-text citation, which we're going to get to in a minute. And then we'll think about the articles you used and how you put those in a works cited page. So for your citation, if you go to the portal, you're going to see a quote, summary, and paraphrase slide. And what this is going to do, it's going to tell you what are the different ways in which you can record somebody else's work into your paper. And you can either use a quote, in which case you take direct words and you put it in your paper with a quotation mark and citation. You can summarize, in which you take a chunk of their writing, put it into your own words, and distill it down to about a sentence or two, and then also give them credit with an in-text citation. The paraphrase is a longer summary, but for this length of the paper, no one should be using a paraphrase, simply because your paper is not long enough to accommodate one. Right? So as you scroll through here, you're going to see examples of how to do what we call an in-text citation. If you use somebody's words that are not your own in the paper, if you use somebody's idea, but you're putting it in your own words, you still need something called an in-text citation. So I use this passage from Amy Ahn at NPR from October 2022. This was for a paper that I demonstrated last semester. And I wanted to use this quote. I wanted to take this quote and I wanted to put it in my paper. Okay. So what I did is I just cut and pasted. I put quotation marks around it. And then at the end, in parentheses, I did author last name, page number. Now you'll notice that 2022 is not a page number because this was from NPR. There was no page number. NPR is a radio show, right? Or a radio station. So instead, what you would use is the year. Then I put a parentheses and a period. Okay. If I wanted to summarize that same passage, I didn't want to take a direct quote. I wanted to put it in my own words. I don't need the quotation marks because I'm not signifying that I'm taking someone's words, but I am taking someone's idea. And so I still need to cite her. So I put author last name and then the date, again, because there's no page number. You'll notice that the period goes after the punctuation or after the parentheses. I gave an example of a paraphrase in this slide, but you're not going to be using one. So you're going to stick to quote and summaries. You also want to make sure that your writing does not sound like you are just listing information. You are integrating what you found with your own words, and you're connecting the ideas of the research you found. So for example, if I was reading a paragraph and all I saw was quote, quote, summary, quote, that doesn't show your thinking in how you combined and understood that research. So while you're not adding your opinion, you are adding your expertise in how you are connecting these ideas to help you answer your question. There are 2 sample research papers on the portal. One is, some are stronger than others, and I think you will quickly see why. It's open as an assignment. However, you don't have to do it as an assignment. I'm showing you some samples, and you can see what people have done to create strong research and how they've integrated their quotes. Right? I've also put up here a source documentation guide. This is kind of a real life example of how, if something's tricky, you have more than one author. Someone said something within the text, but you're quoting that person, not the author. How you cite in-text cite that. So you can also look at this documentation guide. Essentially what I want, what I'm hoping and what I know you'll be able to do is to have a fully fleshed outline with your sources clearly integrated and properly cited. And then next week when we go to write our draft, that's when we'll get into our works cited and we'll get into really fleshing out our ideas. As always, if you have any questions, please let me know. We are getting down to the wire, so any kind of missed work is not going to fly. You'll see that our rough draft is due on the 7th, and our final draft is going to be due on the 14th. And then that's the class. So I really urge you that if you have hopes of passing, you step it up, keep it up, and if you have questions, reach out. I look forward to seeing your work, and happy outlining.